talk about sports. The public is waiting for us. So, Randy, like I said before, you are sport editor at the New York Times, and Valfigaro is a sport journalist and a player as well. So together we're gonna talk about sports. We're gonna talk about the impact of the COVID-19 on the sports industry. We're gonna talk about the sexual abuse case that happened in the global soccer that FIFA has to under security against some people. So we're gonna talk about all of that, and then we're gonna, tomorrow, June 8th, will be the 30 years since the World Cup in Italy, 1990, and 30 years ago. So people think that it was the worst World Cup ever organized, but this World Cup changed a lot of things in the soccer, like the 3 points. Before it was 2. Now, if you win the game, you get 3 points, and a lot of things that happened just after that. And I'm gonna let you, Randy, to present yourself to the public now.
Okay. I'm Randy Archibold. I'm the sports editor at the New York Times, which means I'm in charge of all of our sports coverage, not just in the sports section, but all the sports stories that appear in other parts of the newspaper, including today we have a front page story on kneeling, which has been going on at the protests in relation to George Floyd. And also it's caused yet another debate about it in the NFL, where of course Colin Kaepernick, in his campaign to draw attention to police brutality against African Americans, his kneeling was a very controversial topic. We have about 30 to 40 people on staff. We cover sports nationally and internationally. We actually have a pretty heavy emphasis on global soccer because of our international readers and the importance of that game across the world. We write quite a bit about soccer, but of course the major leagues in the U.S. And I'll say that this is a very challenging time with no sports going on right now. No organized sports, or very few happening. But there have been a lot of issues in sports related to the pandemic, and now, of course, related to the civil unrest that we've covered a lot. So I'm happy to hear your questions. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to reconnect with Vladimir. We have some stories.
Yes.
Going back from when I was an international correspondent and I was covering Haiti after the earthquake and during the cholera epidemic, and for a period after that as well. So I'm happy to hear your questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Randy. Randy se dit que il est éditeur et sport éditeur dans le journal de New York Times, et avec toute proteste qui a fait connaître que le journal là un petit peu busy pour couvrir tout ça qui passé, gain NFL, et connaît que monsieur NFL yo lorsque il pral commencer match, il fait signe, même sa police a été fait, il mettait à genoux. Donc il y a pas mal de bagages qui a passé et qui lié nous avons que puis voilà nous gagne une photo de George Floyd que un policier était assassiné. Nous avons dit ça, c'est assassiné parce qu'il était volontairement ça a été fait, même quand que yo mettait le second degré. Donc c'est tout ça vient attaché à monde sportif là qui fait que monde sport là il pas épargné de protestes, de manifestations qui a privé suite avec problèmes raciaux que les États-Unis que lui a fait face à. Donc même avec Randy, Randy était boss, mais il fut un temps en 2010 lorsque tu gagné Yves Craven Haïti, il t'a couvert lui. Donc les ça a été responsable bureau et du côté de Mexico, c'est l'étape couvrir toute Amérique latine et Caraïbes, même était seulement pour Haïti. Donc on comprend que puisque c'est Amérique latine et Caraïbes, donc c'était boss, mais époque ça, mais qu'on y a là, il pas dans la politique là encore, il seulement dans le domaine sport là, dans sport là. Donc, nous avons, comme d'habitude, co-présentateur Shoah. Il est avec Pilou Balayodia. On a dit Vlad Figaro. Salut!
Salut, donc Vlad Laguerre. Good afternoon, Randy. It's a pleasure meeting you, speaking with you at last, with no background sound. Donc, c'est avec plaisir que nous étions des présentations. Alors, Randy t'a rappelé tout que tout problème ça qui gagne actuellement aux États-Unis, hein, mais depuis quelques temps, gagne un athlète assez consciencieux que yo te metté, capable de dire au chômage, parce que justement, il était une première figure de proue qui t'a essayé sensibiliser moun sous qui ça brutalité policière représentée aux États-Unis et notamment contre la communauté afro-américaine, la communauté noire. C'est un athlète qui est Nicolas Kaepernick. C'est un quarterback, c'est lui-même qui capitaine et meneur de l'équipe San Francisco 49ers. Et bien depuis qu'il décidé mettre un genou à terre. Donc, pour capable de faire un signe de protestation, il faut me dire que ça a été soulevé en pile controverse. En fait, c'était juste pas de qu'on chantait en vente, c'est pas chanter l'hymne national là, parce que il était estimé que il pas qu'à chanter l'hymne national dans un pays qui pas respecter droits noirs et afro-américains.
Qui est un problème racial, ça.
Effectivement, un pays côté noir subit un pile brutalité policière. Eh bien, c'était un ancien soldat qui t'a suggéré pour ne pas déshonorer le drapeau, puis tu le mettais quand un pile soldat qu'on fait on genou à terre. Et malgré que tu fait signe ça qui estimait qu'il était respectueux, bien 2, 3, 4 ans après, jusqu'à présent, un athlète sans travail, pas aucune équipe NFL qui décidait le contrat, et c'est un geste fort. Et c'est particulier que c'est son même geste comme ça que Derek Chauvin avec même geste a assassiné l'autre jour George Floyd, une situation vraiment malencontreuse, et nous Ellis c'était étincelle que la société ça a besoin pour prendre du feu, pour l'exploser.
All right, so Randy, we just translate a little bit everything that you just said to the public. You know, it's not only the American people that listening to the show, watching the show now. We have Asian people that's watching. So today we're gonna start with the subject about the Dadou Jambar. Dadou Jambar, that you know, it's 1 year, like the article in the New York Times said, it's 1 year similar accusation that led to the outsider of the top soccer official in Afghanistan. The same thing, they accuse him that abusing the athlete and the soccer field. So the FIFA took a decision to fire him. At the same time, and 1 year, just 1 year after that, and Dadou Jambar is facing the same situation.
Accusation, yeah.
So what's going on exactly in the sports about those sexual abuse, Randy?
I could say a couple things about that. One is, as we reported in our story a couple of weeks ago, one of the big issues and one of the reasons that we did this story, aside from it being a very bad, egregious case, was to highlight that FIFA had a chance to correct this or to have a better approach to this. But instead, after the Afghanistan case, FIFA had promised to do a better job with policing and with having steps and investigations regarding sexual abuse in sport, which I think we're only beginning to realize how widespread it is. But then we get this new case in Haiti, and it seems like a lot of the problems are repeated from the last time with not much difference. So I think FIFA, as they told us, they're still developing protocols for investigations that they had promised to do after the last case in Afghanistan. I think it's also important to note that the courage of the women to come forward and report their abuse. And that's not an easy thing to do at all. And there can be very harsh consequences. And as we reported, some of them have received threats. But you know, these cases don't happen unless the victims are willing to speak out. And I think authorities like FIFA and the law enforcement authorities in Haiti need to respect that. It's a difficult thing to do. We can only hope that there's a thorough investigation. These are accusations, these are not proven yet, but we're hoping that there's a thorough investigation, and more so that FIFA learns some lessons to make it easier to investigate these cases and to bring these kinds of allegations to light.
All right, Vad, I don't know if you have a question for Randy, about...
Of course, yes, I wanted to know, Randy, do you think that these accusations, these situations are coming right now, right after the aftermath of this famous movement, the famous Me Too movement? Is it, do you think it's like some sort of shockwave?
I do. I think that the Me Too movement has encouraged women and girls and emboldened them in ways that we haven't seen before, not just in sports, but across industries. And I think there's much more of a willingness to challenge influential, important, powerful figures who happen to be men when they have misconduct, when they conduct themselves and abuse women or girls. So I think we are seeing a shockwave, as you put it, that's spreading across industries, across the landscape, including in sports. I do think, though, that it's a little, maybe it's just a little slower or harder in sports because it is, especially the leadership is so male dominated. And as I said, in places like Afghanistan, in Haiti, and other countries where there's problems with institutions that don't have anything to do with sports, there's issues of accountability that also need to be addressed. And so when I was a correspondent in Mexico, Mexico itself has a very, very big problem with its institutions and making sure that the powerful are held to account. So I think, while yes, the Me Too movement certainly is playing a role, I think in some places these cases are still very difficult.
Yep.
Because the institutional issues and problems.
All right. So, what do you think, Randy, that we can do in order to protect our girls? Because even it's not my girl, it's not your daughters, it's not Vad Figaro's daughters, but we can call them our daughters because we can be in a situation that we are the one who is on the head of the federation. So what you think we can do in order to protect our girls?
It's a difficult question for me to answer because it's such a complex issue. But what I can say is, as a journalist, especially a journalist at the New York Times, I'm a big believer in, we have an expression, sunshine is the most powerful disinfectant, sort of apt for the times we're in with the pandemic. But it's very true. That simply means that shining a light, bringing truth forward, is a powerful way to affect change. And so I think that women and girls need to be given a voice. They need to have the courage. They need to feel protected when they do come forward, to challenge powerful figures who are doing things they shouldn't be doing, whether it's criminal or corruption or other issues. I would say that specifically in this case in Haiti, that there absolutely needs to be protection for these women and girls while this case is adjudicated, while this case is making its way through the justice system. And again, like I said, and as Vladimir said, these are allegations, these are accusations. So I want to be careful not to convict anybody before the judicial process has been fully expired and fully realized. But that said, while this is happening, there should be no tolerance for death threats, and there should be no tolerance for further abuse to trying to silence these girls or women.
But is those accusations, they are only to Dado Jambard, or I don't know if you talk to some of the girls, because some of them are in America, in New York and everywhere in America. Did you talk to some of them, and what they said?
So what I can tell you is what we reported. I can't go into exactly who we've talked to because some of it is confidential. But on the basis of what we reported, you know, a number of senior Haitian officials had used their influence to coerce women and girls into doing sexual things, sexual favors, under the threat that they would be not allowed to play soccer or thrown out of the program if they resisted these advances. And it eventually, an actual criminal complaint was made to the law enforcement officials in Haiti. And so now there's a criminal case going on. And there's also an investigation by FIFA because a complaint was made to FIFA as well. And as I said before, the issue there is FIFA does not have, you know, very strict protocols to handle such cases. And there's a lot of confusion and, you know, errors even on the FIFA end. For example, a high-ranking FIFA person inadvertently, from what we understand, mentioned this case coming through to an official in the Haitian Soccer Federation that in a way that is almost like a heads up, you know, you should know that there's this case coming, which is just not the way the process should work. You know, even before an investigator got to talk to the people involved. So that certainly needs to be cleaned up and handled in a more professional manner. We did speak to people, let's say, strongly connected to the case who gave us an account of what happened. And so, you know, we had reason to believe that these are credible allegations. And the fact that it rose to an actual FIFA complaint and an actual criminal complaint, you know, gave us confidence to move forward with this.
One question for you, Randy, if you allow me, Vlad. Do you think that the FIFA needs to wait for the judicial system to take a decision before sanctioning the Asian Federation or maybe Mr. Jambard?
Is that a question for me or for
yeah, for you, Randy. Yeah, okay. For Randy. Yeah.
All the questions are for you.
I'm happy to try to answer. You know, I don't always have all the answers. And in this case, I think it's possible for both cases to be proceeding on different tracks. You know, this happens a lot, as you probably know, in the United States, and I imagine in Haiti, where there's a civil action and a criminal action. So I believe that FIFA does not necessarily need to wait for the outcome of the criminal case to take action. They have the ability to examine or consider complaints from witnesses. They can certainly, as they've done, suspend people, while a case is proceeding, and they in terms of the connection to soccer and the soccer organization, they can take action based on that. So I believe that both cases can proceed at the same time. Though that said, if the criminal case is resolved, and let's hypothetically assume that there's a conviction, I think it gives them more status and more standing to take tougher action. I think that that's fair to say. and vice versa. If I don't know how long the judicial process will take, but let's say a few months from now or several months from now, the case is ended without a conviction. I still think that there's grounds for FIFA to make its own determination and to take its own action.
I see. In your opinion, could we also change the way the judicial system used to process with those cases? Because in Quebec, they've seen and they've studied how difficult it is for women to come up front and speak about it, and it's way easier for the aggressors, just to defend themselves. Now they're trying to change the way they're proceeding, or they used to proceed, and so now they're going to put the burden on the aggressor. Is that an opinion that you would share?
This issue is not new to whatever country, including the United States, and here in New York. I guess a good example is colleges and universities here in the United States, where students, athletes have abused women or girls. And the university has had to, in a similar fashion as your previous question, the university has had to try to make a decision about a case in which, the criminal complaint is not filed or is proceeding, at the same time. And I think what most advocates are calling for, and what seems to, the shift that I think we're beginning to see, is to guarantee the rights of the victim to have some confidence in the system and to believe that when they make a complaint, that it's going to be investigated thoroughly and that they're not going to be subjected to further abuse or aggressions. In the case of universities and colleges, their steps are often taken to isolate or separate victim and aggressor and accuser. In some cases, removed from different classes. There are different steps they can take in the campus environment. And I think likewise, when it comes to the judicial system, in some cases, witnesses are protected, and those steps need to be there in order to give confidence for victims to come forward and know that when they make a complaint, it's going to be taken seriously, and B, it's not going to cause them further conflict and further trouble by way of threats or intimidation.
It should be something very difficult for the justice in Haiti, because how many cases that we know, assassination, corruption, what the justice system did? Nothing. So I don't think that in this case the justice system in Haiti can do something for the first time. But we hope that something can happen, because this has to stop, because they cannot continue to abuse those girls like that. And I see the other day a video that they are talking about the COVID-19, and the federation, the president, put some girls to protest in his favor, showing that don't talk about that, do like that, don't do that. It's and without mask, you know what I mean? No social distancing, respecting, and we have a COVID-19 going on in the world. I don't know. In a situation that they have to protect those athletes, not to put them in a situation that to use them. First, you use them sexually. Now you are trying to use them physically, by morally, by protesting in your favor. That's for me. That's it's a nonsense.
It's worth noting that this also occurred in the Afghanistan case, where the accused. Again, we're talking about very powerful people with a lot of influence and a lot of history of them being in charge and a lot of connections in Afghanistan, likewise, the accused, managed to get and encourage other women to defend him and to make calls to FIFA, and this could not have happened and so forth. So, I think that there was that accusation made that a similar thing was happening in Haiti. So again, I do believe to your previous statement, it's a challenge for institutions. That is absolutely true. But I also believe that the outcry and, as I said before, the sunshine is really one of the most powerful ways to affect change and to make people aware. And maybe this one case does not bring about big wholesale change, but I think it adds to and encourages advocates who are pushing for change to make the population aware that this is happening, and to sort of move in the right direction.
All right, so by talking about the COVID-19, so we're going to the second subject. COVID-19, it's even President Barack Obama talked about that, I think 8 years or 10 years ago. He mentioned that what we should do to protect America and to protect even the world if an eventual pandemic happen. And now it's happening. We have this outbreak, this coronavirus that affected a lot of people, especially Black American people, Asian. I know a lot of people who Asian in the Asian community that affected by the coronavirus. Even I am still safe, my family, but I lost a cousin because of the COVID-19. So all the COVID-19 impact the sports industry, Wendy?
In a very huge, dramatic way. If we go back to March, the beginning of March 11th, I think, was roughly the date when the NBA stopped play in a very dramatic fashion. They had a player test positive, a player who had actually been joking about it before, came back with a positive test, and they immediately halted the league. And that is followed by baseball and hockey. All the major sports immediately came to a halt, which has never happened before, as far as we can see. Such a dramatic cutoff, in a matter of 24, 48 hours. And then there were several players and officials who tested positive, Kevin Durant among them, some of the biggest stars. In isolated instances, athletes have also succumbed to it. This left the leagues with a very tough decision to make, because they rely on the broadcast of games and people attending games for their economy, for their money. The only way they economically survive is by playing. Yet they also had to consider that, especially a place like basketball, in an enclosed environment, closed quarters, and so little was known about the virus and the disease, especially in the beginning of March, that they really had no choice but to stop, but also have to try to figure out a way to go forward. And so that's kind of where we're at. They had to wait to see what was going on with the virus, if there would be any improvement, and there has. Cases flattened and are declining. Deaths are declining here in New York. It is surging internationally in other places, including Latin America and the Caribbean. But here in the United States and other countries, the big soccer leagues in Europe, all those countries, had very bad situations that ultimately improved, and now little by little soccer is coming back. The Bundesliga in Germany was first. La Liga in Spain is making plans. The Premier League, the biggest, richest league, in terms of soccer is the most watched in the world, is planning to come back in mid-June. So you had this sort of steady progression of making efforts to come back. And the biggest news this past week in the US was the NBA announcing a plan in a very extraordinary way to finish their season at Disney World in Florida in what we're calling a bubble environment, where all the teams are there, all the players are there, everyone is tested coming in. They haven't quite released a health plan yet. We're expecting to hear more about that this week. But the basic contours, I think, are what other leagues have done, which is a lot of testing, isolation, can't leave, have to stay in certain spaces, and they'll try to play the rest of the season with the big question: what happens if there's an outbreak? They're taking a lot of precautions, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens if there's an outbreak, if that ends the season or not. In Germany, there have been some players who have tested positive after they've begun. They were quarantined and they've made a decision to keep playing. But there hasn't been, a serious widespread outbreak there. So we'll see. But, the next big sport we're looking for is baseball, which is even more complicated because the team owners and the union, the players, have very poor labor relations that go back many other issues for many years. So they're having much more contentious negotiation to come back. But for the US, to not have a baseball season could be one of the biggest stories
ever.
We've covered in a long time. It's so embedded into Americana. Even though football and basketball are probably more popular these days, the baseball, is kind of tied into the American identity and image in a way that those sports are not. I think so, because it's first of all, normally the season starts, I think, the end of October, so it's not a huge delay. It's basically a month and a half shift. There already, before the pandemic, there's been discussions about the NBA shifting their season to play to not sort of overlap with football or baseball, to maybe go later into the summer. So within the NBA, there was already discussions on is the alignment of the season, does it make sense in this modern era? So I think what we're seeing is the need to address the virus that's going on, the need to try to find a way, and maybe even taking advantage of the virus to try something else, to try a different season dynamic. I think, though, that to answer your question more directly, whether December is possible or not probably depends on how this season that they're about to restart at the end of July, how that goes. Like I said, if people get sick, it's going to be really hard to deal with, and if they have to cancel the season, it could possibly make them rethink about starting next season. And of course, the big question, or one of the bigger questions, is when do fans come back? And I don't think any league really anticipates having fans the way we had them before, possibly until next year. There might be some instances where there's reduced small contingent of fans, or if you have for football, a big 70,000 seat stadium. One scenario is to only have it half full. Only have 30,000 people, or only have 10,000, some number. But nothing in terms of the fan experience will be normal again I don't think until probably next year, probably not until there's a vaccine, and to the majority of people actually getting the vaccine, which will take some time.
Vad Figaro, I don't know if you have a question before I go to the next question.
No, just wanted to share indeed my fear of an eventual outbreak would be, the consequences would be devastating and be like getting back to the hole again. Everybody's getting back hidden and respecting all those constraining the orders that they're giving us, and I'm really hoping that we'll have less outbreak, that we won't have outbreaks, but it's difficult to say with this vicious disease, indeed, because I don't know if you heard about it, guys, but there was a team that had like a super outbreak, a Ukrainian team where 24 or 23 players were infected, so they had to
Wow.
everybody, exactly. So it's really backlashes, and we hope that we don't have those incidents in the championships or the tournaments that are starting to get back, and the competitions that is reopening. That's my hope.
All right. So, and I know it's this has a big impact on the athletes and the sports. But what about the media that cover this kind of competition, like New York Times, ESPN, BN Sports, Eurosport, and all those Canal Plus, all those media that survive thanks to the sports. There is no advertising. So all you guys as sports editor at the New York Times, what you are doing now?
A little bit of that. Not much. First, a couple of things on that. First, I think the impact has been much bigger on ESPN and Turner Sports and the television, the sports television media. I think it's had way more trouble and impact because the whole schedule
24/7, yeah,
exactly, is 24/7 sport, and they games and commenting on games. So I think that they have struggled way more than we have, and just as a fan, I'm not a super fan, I'm more a casual sports fan, I guess you could say. I guess I would say I don't watch a lot of ESPN right now because it's just not really what I'm looking for. I'm not really into reruns that much. They are televising some baseball from South Korea, which was kind of marginally interesting when it first. I guess the first couple of games were kind of interesting, but it's still probably not what I'm looking for. Not being a super baseball fan. So I think that they have struggled to find things on the air because they have to fill a lot of airtime. For us, our view of sports, we never put a heavy emphasis on games to begin with. We certainly cover them, and they certainly are the engine driving sports coverage and what's happening, with athletes and games. But we also, as I said, we don't cover them 24/7. We don't go wall to wall. We don't cover every single Yankees game. We don't cover every single Mets game. We moved away from that model a long time ago. So in some respects, we were kind of, I think, better prepared for something like this because we did rely more on features anyway. And then for us, there's actually been, I keep telling you this, it's actually been really surprisingly busy. Because there's been a lot of sports news, whether from the pandemic, the Olympics cancellation, and the whole drama behind postponing the Olympics, and the effect of all this on athletes and sports and teams and the sports economy has given us actually a lot to write about. And now the civil unrest obviously is having an impact on the sports world. and you're seeing things we didn't see before, which is athletes being way more open and active in a public fashion about systemic racism and police abuse in the country. So once again, we have a change in the situation that gives us a lot to write about. But we have done, a lot of features on what are athletes doing at home, a lot of the silly things you've seen on Instagram and Twitter, how athletes have adapted at home.
Yeah.
Using a pole vault in their backyard. We did actually a very well-received feature on two NFL long snappers, two NFL players who snapped the ball, managing to practice in their backyards. We did a feature on a skateboarder in Brazil who broke the big record that Tony Hawk, a famous skater, had held for years. So we have done our share of the alternative universe of sports that popped up as a result of this. And then in our print edition, our print page, we've done every week we do a page of historical sports, what was going on in the sports world at this moment. We haven't leaned too heavily on that because I guess I don't find that particularly satisfying. But as I said with ESPN, so I'm not that into thinking about a football game from 20 years ago. So we do a little bit of that, but that really hasn't been our emphasis. We quickly realized that people weren't super into that, at least the people who live in New York Times.
So Randy, if you allow me, on a more personal basis, is the Randy Archibold happier with this opportunity that he has to discover or talk about the many layers of sports other than just statistics and what happened yesterday night?
I think it's a good question. Let me, because I've been thinking about this. So the short answer is no. I think the world is better when there are sports. Just as for our psyche and for our society, I would certainly prefer a world with sports. But I also believe that it's been fascinating to cover this world without sports because we've never seen it before. We've never seen what would happen if sports stopped and how people would react to that, both fans and players and teams. So as a journalist, it's been this sort of unexpected, compelling story, stressful story. On that level, yes, it's sort of stoked my journalist interest in intrigue. But on a more personal level, I think the world is much better off having sports to consume, to watch, to play. It'll make, I think, everyone happier to see games come back. But again, I think a lot of care has to be taken about how that's done. I think there's an inclination to think of athletes as athletes and not people. And so I think we have to be careful to watch very closely what happens with their health issues and the health consequences and hear their voices. We actually did a story a week or two ago about athletes who have underlying conditions who are apprehensive about coming out because this is a very dangerous virus. I think there's maybe a little bit these days as we get out more, as things reopen, to kind of forget that this is a deadly disease. It's possible that going out, the consequence of going out is to get a deadly disease. People I don't often think of it that way, but that's still very true. So we just need to be careful that we understand that athletes could be putting themselves at risk and could be in danger. So we need to understand better what the health protocols and the health precautions are being taken to protect them, and to hear their voices on how they feel about playing in this environment.
Talking about that, I don't know if you inform about that, guys. Recording, according to Sky Sport, a Gazeta, it look like the fire about Balotelli because he never goes to the he stayed home, and he sent a letter that he said that, oh, I cannot make it because I'm not feeling well. Nobody knows if he was tested for positive for COVID-19 or not, but they have to take a decision, and they said, oh, so sorry, but we love you so much, but Mario Balotelli, but you have to go, and they let him go. Do you think it's something that happened? We're gonna have to hear most the day coming when we get close, for example, for the NBA, because I think they have to start the game again in Orlando and on July 31st with 22 teams. I don't know if we might have people that they have to fire because they don't show up for to practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen? Mario Balotelli is the first one that we know, but how many athletes they have been fired because they don't? Because we know in England they're gonna start soon, and the good news in England they do like a 1195 tests, and they all good. That's a good sign.
Right.
And nobody, not one of them, tests positive for COVID-19. But we never know. They can do the test today, and tomorrow you get sick.
It's a great question, and I think here in the U.S. with our major sports leagues, it's a question that they're still working out with their unions. So I think in most cases they have said that nobody would be forced to play, that if they feel like either that they're sick or that they could be sick or could get sick, that there is a provision in which they can not play. What I think the unanswered question, the issue that needs to be decided and explored more is, will they be paid if they don't play? And this is one of the contentious issues that baseball is working on with the union. Baseball wants them to play with reduced salaries because they're reducing the length of the season. The proposal is to play a shortened season, and so therefore the baseball league and team owners are arguing that there should be a reduction in pay. The players, on the other hand, are basically saying, touching on the issue that you're raising, which is that we're going out there putting ourselves at risk, and we should be getting combat pay. We should be getting paid extra.
Yeah, compensation.
So it'll be interesting to see where they land on that and what's resolved. But it's morally speaking, can you force a player to play? I think that's one of the issues we'll be watching.
All right, Vlad, I don't know if you have a question.
No, not really. I just wanted to say thanks to Randy. Nous devons faire une traduction rapide, donc, parce que nous parlons en pile vraiment en anglais, mais j'en ai dit en Vlad, il y a un peu de monde qui a suivi nous en créole. Peut-être que ça a un petit genre rébarbatif, donc, il faut besoin qu'on ait. Donc, Randy t'a expliqué nous, donc, lui-même que, dans la dernière intervention, que de façon assez surprenante, il connaît que saison ça, le fait que vous mettez championnat en pause, il y a un pile chaîne qui gagne difficulté parce que c'est des chaînes spécialisées que quand vous ESPN. Mais à sa grande surprise, Mediapart là, t'as une opportunité pour parler d'autres choses en sport et découvrir aspect psychologique qui ça athlète a fait la caillou, qui ça a fait pour qui ça a proposé comment ils reconvertir momentanément et ça son aspect donc DVD partie samedi donc souligner dit pour montrer que le journal n'a pas traité inactif effectivement et puis cette opportunité pour te découvrir autre chose mais il était quand même si c'est il estimait que sont amateurs de sport moyen, il estimait que le monde est vraiment mieux avec le sport et nous espérons que le sport a retourner donc j'en déconne là nous parler de problèmes de fréquentation de stade nous connaissons que sport yo c'est en grande partie oui il y a une droit télévision qui enrichit yo, mais c'est monde qui viennent dans le stade pour regarder basket, pour regarder football américain, pour regarder baseball qui sont un sport vraiment qui fait partie de culture américaine. Randy te rappelé que si pas ta gain saison baseball, c'est pour une fois ça t'a fait, c'est un gros tremblement de terre, t'as capable passer une expression dans l'histoire sportive États-Unis et culture américaine. Donc il a parlé de négocier pour que saison en lui-même n'est pas payé à temps complet puisque son bout de saison lié, donc pour monsieur t'as gagné un bout de salaire et l'athlète lui-même lui demandé au contraire vu qu'il a joué alors que au cas contaminé faut que t'as payé plus ou du moins comme tu t'es prévoir.
Et c'est exactement ça c'est là que au niveau NBA que fédération, association et joueurs et pour qu'on capable de financer totalement pour le tour et continuation saison hein, qu'il a supposé faire le 31 parce que joueurs même quand et vendredi quoi il a été voté et 29 et sous 30 et pour retourner avec saison 31 et juillet cap venir dans pays et dans Orlando et avec 22 équipes que tout a prêté même côté personne va déplacer donc j'ai des conditions association et joueurs et basket yo posé pour capable et retourner avec ça et c'était une condition 7 va toucher pendant pas jouer mais qu'on a souffert une jouer et puis moi et contacté avec Covid19 et qui ça que et qui retombé cap bien dans ce sens ça et nous t'ai parlé et tout de joueurs comme Mario Balotelli qui est licencié que vous y aller à cause que il pas jamais présenté dans l'entraînement et ils vont de licenciement Bali et ça c'est capable un cas de figure que nous pas joindre mais il dit tout gain si que ou t'a contacté et Covid19 là gain nombre de temps que ou capable et rester et ça relait dans confinement et qui c'est ici aux États-Unis c'est 14 jours donc est-ce qu'il y a aller au-delà de 14 jours là ou bien parce que qui ça qui fait parce que même que si c'est testé positif donc il est obligé d'être en quarantaine. Est-ce que c'est le cas et pas de trop de détails qui baillent sur cas et exactement de Mario Balotelli. Il est content que le fait que quelques côtés sport la reprendre donc en Angleterre il y a 1195 personnes et athlètes qui ont testé et toutes et bonne nouvelle une pas positif à Covid-19. Donc compétition il est capable de prendre et la pour prendre très bientôt là c'est le 17 juin qu'il a pour prendre ensemble avec la première ligue là. Entre-temps et en Allemagne lui-même il y a une compétition et Borussia Dortmund a joué et il fait une figure et une très belle figure il fait et face à adversaire que il bat 1-0 c'est on a regardé là tableau et complet résultat et puis un peu plus tard et jeudi à là pour le gagner et d'autres rencontres qu'a joué c'est dans le cadre de 30e journée c'est rencontre ça qu'a gagné pour jouer jeudi à dans le cadre de 30e journée résultat au classement et Bayern de Munich toujours été en tête dans le classement avec 70 points et puis Dortmund qui est en deuxième position avec certainement 63 points. Nous allons parler de, nous connaissons, on dit absouris. Nous allons parler bien sûr de Coupe du Monde pour le finir. Coupe du Monde 1990 qui était faite en Italie. Pour un pile monde, c'était une déception. Coupe du Monde ça c'était une déception totale capitale. Même quand que on dit c'est pire Coupe du Monde qui est faite dans l'histoire mais les monde qui est créatif ça et pour Eurosport c'est Vincent Brégevin et puis Maxime Dupuis deux monsieur ça a été enfant époque et imaginons 30 ans de cela ça va le gagner 2 et 8 juin il était enfant à l'époque mais ça n'a pas empêché qu'il était en extase face à des joueurs comme Maradona, les pleurs de Maradona et nous sommes jolis et des chefs-d'œuvre de Baggio et ils ont et puis, sans oublier José René Higuita, qui était une figure emblématique tout lors de cette Coupe du Monde. Et ne pas oublier Lineker. Et c'est vraiment dommage que notre ami, notre collègue Pile Rosé n'est pas là. Et c'est après un changement de monde dans ce sport-là. De l'ancien monde avec un nouveau monde. Parce que tout de suite après, aux États-Unis, en 1994, c'est pas l'autre forme de Coupe du Monde. Si avant, lorsque bâton équipe, c'est 2 points côté qu'on fait, après 90, des pour caler équipe, on fait 3 points. Et il y a pas mal d'autres changements qui t'apprennent et Vini suite après et championnat ça surtout dans le monde audiovisuel là et il m'a pas tellement en Italie pas tellement gagné hallucinant que ça mais 94 nous avons ouais et d'autres spectacles et jusqu'à présent donc Wendy we're talking about the World Cup in 1990 in Italy. Some people they think that it was the worst World Cup ever. So what is your I know that you're not a big fan of soccer. So at the time you didn't cover sports for the New York Times, but you watch the games, right?
I do. I enjoy the World Cup. I'm not. I think it's probably better to say I'm not an expert on World Cup soccer, but I do enjoy watching. I also enjoy the Women's World Cup as well. It's hard for me to have an opinion on that because I just think I need to be a little bit more knowledgeable to say something credible. But you know, I always enjoy watching it. I enjoyed this past World Cup because Panama was in it. And news from Panama. So it was kind of amazing to see Panama was in the World Cup. I wrote a small story about that. I'm waiting for Haiti to compete.
Soon.
That would be a huge story. That might be one that I might personally do. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, Vlad, what is your opinion about this article?
Ben, écoute, là, la guerre, moi pas lire l'article, là, j'ai une idée peut-être de Bergevin, mais c'est pas la première fois que je parlé de lier de façon que qu'on écrit. Moi-même, Coupe du Monde 1990, là, c'était pour moi une Coupe du Monde intéressante, marquante. C'est une Coupe du Monde qui était culturellement dans les esprits, notamment en Haïti. Il a gagné une très belle hymne avec lui, Noti Magique, la nuit magique. C'est une Coupe du Monde que nous étions effectivement très jeunes. Nous avons changé que Patrice Dumont était déplacé personnellement avec Pierre-Paul Charles pour la Coupe en Italie. C'est la Coupe du Monde de Baggio, de Toto Schillaci, où l'Italie a malheureusement fini 3e. Et c'est une Coupe du Monde qui nous a permis de voir, tu le disais, au René Higuita, mais nous avons tout la dernière, ou excellent Roger Milla. Pour une fois qu'on nation africaine est arrivé en quart de finale, je pense que c'est pire Coupe du Monde, bien au contraire. C'est sûr que Gampy Moun qui estimait que il était aidé.
Et t'en fais pas pour pas inquiétant pour musique là.
Mais je pense que son Coupe du Monde qui vient avec l'eau de surprise li. Et puis c'était Coupe du Monde excellent Lothar Matthaus à l'époque.
Et sans oublier Toto Schillaci qui était éclaté. Et puis après ça, tout le monde battait de côté le passé, qui ça est devenu. Mais c'était, donc on dit, il était terminé meilleur buteur de compétition, c'est avec 6 buts. Hein?
C'est ça.
Donc, on a entendu la background, cette chanson qui a marqué cette Coupe du Monde, c'était une superbe mélodie. Et c'est lui-même qui tape taguette depuis le début. Hein? Depuis le début, on a commencé avec Shoah. C'était dans une musique sans background. Donc, il y avait que, il trouvait que c'était pire Coupe du Monde, mais il y a un pire changement qui était fait. Tant qu'on nous dit 3 points à pas mettre pied, et ensuite te gen ballon an tou. Fom jan ki yo te kon fè ballon yo, c'est justement après cette Coupe du Monde que tu as pas changé cette affaire et jan ki yo produit et ballon Coupe du Monde yo. Donc, nous pensons que nous épuisé et ça c'est tout sujet pour nous aujourd'hui. Par contre, si nous avons quelques mots pour le public là, et c'est vraiment dommage que Pilou n'est pas avec nous aujourd'hui. Nous espérons qu'il porte la santé parce que nous pas fait signe de vie ces derniers temps et nous connaissons en France. Wendy Archibold qui s'est invité aujourd'hui à la vivre du côté de New York, New York, et puis Vlad Figaro, l'incontournable, et du côté de Montréal, et puis moi-même et l'ami de Joyford du côté de Connecticut. Excusez-moi sur ma obésie là, mais j'espère que chaque fois m'a fait un show pour gagner artiste maillot une équipe pour ne pas dire que je fanatique Brésil et même quand tout le monde connaît que qui équipe m'a supporté Haïti. Donc Wendy is a big fan of Panama. He is from Panama. But he likes watching the Asian game. I think the last the women during the World Cup did an amazing job, right, Randy? And you even call me every day or text me to say, did you see that?
It was exciting.
Yeah, so we have to thank you everybody. Thank you for your time, Wendy. And I don't know if you have a few words to say to the public in Creole. I know you know some more in Creole.
Merci. Vladimir, my Creole has disappeared. I needed to be in Haiti more to maintain it. I did understand some of what you guys were saying, maybe 10%. But I need to practice. So the next time I'm on the show, I'm going to show off my Creole.
Thank you so much, Randy. Vlad, merci tout et collaborateur infatigable depuis plus de 10 ans et Télémax et Canal Bleu et Métropole et maintenant Facebook et YouTube. C'est ce qu'on a. Et on essaie de faire avec et marcher avec le temps. Nous espérons que ces premières éditions, chose ça, et prochaine édition, c'est sûrement nous allons parler d'autres sujets dans la prochaine édition. Et nous permettre que, en même temps, si vous voulez participer, vous êtes capable de participer sur des petites vidéos que vous faites et vous avez un athlète Bolakaou que vous trouvez qui est très intéressant. Vous êtes capable sur page Facebook entre nous, il y a un link WhatsApp vous êtes capable de cliquer sur lui, vous êtes capable de envoyer message bon nous, sur cliquer sur le link WhatsApp qui est sur page Facebook entre nous et nous avons un message là et puis vous êtes capable de envoyer vidéo pour dire qui ont trouvé choix, qui ont aimé choix et qui sont arrivés que nous parlons dans choix et qui est athlète et que nous nous parler de lui tout et il y a l'autre chroniqueur sportif tout qui est capable intéressez-vous cette information que gagne sur ça qui passé en Haïti ou bien notre pays côté qui a vivre là et nous capable faire ça. Donc n'a dit tout le monde merci to everyone and have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks, Randy. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.